My name is Greg, and I am a white gay.
My name is Sel, and I am black and a girl.
So this is Sel, our epic editor at AsapSCIENCE, and our identities actually shape the way we are seen by you.
They also define how we get treated in our day-to-day life, and who has an easier life.
Within society, we like to break people off into groups. This can lead to generalizing people based on cultural and visual tells that create communities. These communities can be based on things that we can control, like our interests.
A new addition to my wall.
I love AsapSCIENCE!
But this can also be based on something someone can't control, like their gender or race.
This categorizing leads to identity formation, which is what people see when they first meet us.
Hi! Nice to meet you!
These identity characteristics are valued differently within society and form the basis of things like bias, prejudices, and assumptions that we all make about each other. So these agreed upon traits come together to form society's value system. So some traits are valued more than others, and this creates kind of a hierarchy of higher and lower value traits that forms the basis of privilege.
Privilege is defined as a special right, advantage, or immunity granted or available only to a particular person or group of people.
The wild thing is that we all have some measure of privilege, and this helps us like a social cachet to get what we want and need from society. But the problem is, who decides what traits are popping or not?
We're all made up of different identities all at once, and what can be tricky is when your different identities start to come into conflict with each other. And it might be surprising to know, but you can be privileged and oppressed at the exact same time. For example, the identity of maleness, like being strong, or emotionally reserved, or traditionally empowered. These seem like really good things, and it sort of makes you feel as if you shouldn't have suffered from having to be this identity. A recent Canadian study found that toxic masculinity led to a quadruple rise in suicide rates in men in North America. They found the root cause to be the pressures of performing masculinity within society.
Society has been structured to naturally create oppression. Philosophers like Karl Marx try to explain this concept, but it's more of an economically focused idea and that alienates a lot of people. And feminism tries to explain it as well, but it comes from a more gendered view and that excludes a lot of people across the board. But there is an answer, a little known term called chiroarchy. Basically, chiroarchy is a way of understanding how each identity can be both oppressed and privileged at the same time. So how is that possible? It's through a concept called intersectionality.
Intersectionality is when you look at things like classism, sexism, racism, ageism, homophobia, etc. together as one thing and not as each individual things separately. Basically, intersectionality helps you to form a network of ideas to fully contextualize someone.
So the very important thing to understand about intersectionality is that you can have multiple identities within one identity. You're made up of so many identities and sometimes they cross over and they inform each other. The thing about it is that based on the mix of traits that you have, some people are going to be more oppressed and some people are going to be more privileged. That's just the way it is. And understanding that kind of gives you context in understanding other people. Let's see this in IRL.
So, I'm black. What? You know, we know about society and kind of oppressive.
Obvious oppression.
Yeah, and discrimination towards people of color. But at the same time, I am very privileged in that my parents came here from Ethiopia by way of Italy. The immigrant's
That explains
journey.
that pizza love.
Hate cheese, but I love bread. So they came here, kind of the class I like to give my sister and I a better life, and that has led to English being my first language and me being put through the Canadian education system, and that has definitely benefited me in a lot of ways. It wasn't to their benefit. A lot of their degrees, especially my father, wasn't really recognized here, so he had to kind of like work his way up and build a new life. So that was difficult for them.
I am white, if you haven't noticed that yet, and obviously with that comes an exponential amount of privilege. I'm also gay, and so at a young age I had to deal with a lot of shame and sexism for being called a girl, and also dealt with like learning how to lie to everyone close to me at a very young age was really hard. But there's also privilege in being a white gay man, that I actually got to explore my sexuality very openly. Like I get to like enjoy things that are like queer, enjoy things that are straight without anyone judging me. Homophobia is still real, I still deal with it all the time, but I know it's a lot easier for me than a lot of other people. Representation in culture, it always comes first with a white gay man story, like Will and Grace and things like that. At a young age I got to at least see a little bit of representation. Maybe it wasn't much, but I got to see myself represented.
Greg and I are both obviously young and able-bodied, and that is an awesome privilege that we get to have. And
I think it's, yeah, it's something we need to think about more as people in the YouTube comments or in the YouTube community who get pressed about this situation.
Yeah.
Most people who are like interested in YouTube get to experience the privilege of being young. Many of them get to experience the privilege of being able-bodied. So if we can talk more about how we all have that privilege and like be more have more humility around that, that will just like help everyone think about these things.
100%.
And we're friends. We were able to bond.
Yeah.
Even though we are very different.
The reason why it is so important to care about this is that within all of us, there are intersecting oppressions that will tie us to other people that we would never expect to have anything in common with. And a lot of the time, oppressions that we think don't actually affect us really do. Right now, there's so much anger between the left and the right and these binary ideas. But if we were able to understand the hierarchy, then we could all enact positive change more easily.
Thoughtful empathy towards other people's experiences within the hierarchy is so important. It might be very uncomfortable to think about this and might make you question how your privilege is at the expense of other people's. But remember, two people with different types of oppression can face off and have conflict with each other, but still have legitimate needs. And they have to respect that, and that's okay. We all have a rich inner life, and showing compassion and generosity to everyone that we meet, regardless of whether they look like us or not, or act like us or not, is actually beneficial for every single person involved, including yourself. Like they say,
What do they say, Sel?
a rising tide lifts all boats. So thank you so much for watching. I hope that this wasn't too triggering for everybody involved.
I don't think it was. I don't think it was. It shouldn't be.
If you have any questions about what you learned today or anything that kind
Leave
of like upset
comments.
you,
We'll
definitely
talk
leave
about it.
comments.
Open that discussion. Thank you for watching. Subscribe. We'll see you soon. Sel will be in another video very soon because she's very knowledgeable and we need to talk more about this. So see you next week.